Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Corey from CJ's Classic Truck, and we have a little bit of a different video for you guys today. We recently got told by a coworker that he has a 1960 Ford F100 that he wants to sell us. It needs some love from what he said, and it's been sitting for a couple of years. So we're gonna go check it out today for the first time, bring you guys along with us, and we'll see if we end up buying it today. So we're now just starting to pull into the coworker's house here, and oh wow, okay, there's our 1960 Ford F100, and boy does it need a lot of love. I think that was a little bit of an understatement when he said that, but let's hop out the truck and check it out, see what we got. Oh wow. All right, so we got our work cut out for us. Looks like we got a tree growing through the bumper, we got some tires to take care of, and it looks like we're removing a fence today. Well, good thing we brought the whole crew. I guess it's time to get to work. We were told the truck needs some love, but it had a 351 Cleveland in it, and before it was parked, it did run. Now, when we got there, this whole needing some love thing kind of went out the window because the truck was a lot rougher than I originally thought. Now, obviously, I already didn't have high expectations because we were told the truck was sitting for some years. So I kind of already figured it was going to be pretty rough, but it definitely was a little bit rougher than I expected. And I certainly didn't expect to see a tree kind of growing out of the front bumper there. As we started to pull up to the house, you could kind of start to see the truck in the distance. It was covered by a fence, and then you could also see like a mountain of tires in the rear bed of it. And you couldn't really see the overall condition of the truck until we actually started pulling all those things away from it. And then that's when we could get a really good look at it, and then we started finding a lot of the rot it did have. Looks like we found some original hubcaps in the bed so far. Only 3 of them though, unfortunately. Pretty cool pieces there. Now, even though the truck looked rough, it had a lot of rot spots, you know, near like the steps of the cab. The cab had a couple of spots in there on like the floorboards that were pretty rotted out. Everything else looked pretty decent though. It still actually had some good body panels left. So after we got all the tires and really heavy wheels removed, you can now really see the bed floor in here. It looks like it actually rotted through at the top section of the bed. We were hoping that the dirt protected it for the most part over the years, but it looks like that's definitely not the case. But still not that terrible. You know, it's still definitely fixable from what I can see now. I mean, until we get the rest of this dirt and debris up, you know, we're not really gonna know fully, so.
That jack handle right beneath your hand too.
Oh, that's tetanus. So now that we have all of the trees, debris, tires, wheels, and fence out of the way, we're gonna try pulling this thing out of here. I'm gonna grab a jack, see if I can get the front to lift up out of the ground at all. If not, then we're gonna have to use the rollback and go from there. From what we could see, the frame actually still looked to be in pretty decent condition. Now, one side of the truck was buried in the ground pretty far, so we couldn't see all of it, but from what we could see, it definitely looked like it still had some decent bones left to it. I could only open the hood the slightest bit, and when I did, I could at least see inside the engine bay to definitely tell that there was a 351 Cleveland in there. There was some leaves and some other debris in there, but other than that, it actually didn't look too terrible in there, and everything still looked to actually be there. Now, from this point, after getting a decent look at the engine bay and seeing that there were still some original parts in decent condition on this truck, we decided to talk off camera for a bit, and after some talking, we definitely decided to buy this truck. Even if we couldn't get this thing running and ended up being like a junker, at least we still had a bunch of original parts that were in good condition that a lot of people would want and need, so we figured we could make some money back on it. Plus, with us buying the truck, it's not just sitting there rotting away for the rest of its life. We're gonna make some cool videos with it, and hopefully we can get it running and driving, but my hopes aren't too high for that. Getting the truck on the rollback was kind of a challenge. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely took a little bit of work. After we got the tree cut down, what we ended up doing is we lifted the whole front of the truck up with the rollback, slid a piece of wood under the front wheel so it wouldn't sink back into the ground, And then we actually just tried winching the truck onto the rollback from there, but that didn't work out too well. The rear end was still pretty far into the ground, so when we tried winching it, the rollback actually started moving instead of the truck. All right, come on, old Big Red. That ain't moving. So at this point, it got a little sketchy. I went ahead and I grabbed our jack. I jacked up on the tow hitch in the back, and basically I just kept jacking it up till the rear end wasn't in the ground. We would inch forward on the winch until the jack started to slip out, and then I'd lower the jack all the way down, move the jack forward, and then we just kept repeating that process until we got the rear end out of the ground and onto the wood. A little rotted. Well, we got old Big Red on the trailer here. Now it's time to strap this down and then get it back to the studio and get a better look at it. So we got the F100 on the back of the rollback right now, and we're on the way back to the studio. The truck's definitely a lot rougher than we thought. We were told that it just needs a little bit of love, but as you can see, it needs a lot more than that. So we're gonna head back to the studio, check out the truck a little bit more, and then go from there. Once we were back at the studio, the job wasn't over yet. We had to get old Big Red off the rollback, which was a challenge in itself. All the wheels are locked up, so it obviously doesn't roll too easy. And even when we had the rollback at full tilt, the truck just stood there on the trailer and didn't move an inch. So we ended up grabbing our dually and actually yanking the truck off of our rollback, which was a little sketchy, but I'm glad it all worked out because I just was really hoping that we didn't end up ripping this truck apart trying to get it off the rollback. It probably won't ever be anything like extravagant or super nice realistically. Like it'll probably have its patina for the rest of its life if we get it running and driving. But I think it'd be cool to end up throwing it on some like wide and steelies, drop it down, you know, make it just a nice low and slow truck and take it to a couple shows, and also see what our viewers want to see out of the truck. You know, if they have any ideas, I definitely like to take those and run with them as well. The appearance of this truck is staying the exact same. Nothing will ever be changed about the appearance of the truck. Old Big Red is staying on the front visor there. The only thing I might do is remove like the top shroud there on the roof because it's pretty ugly. But other than that, yeah, everything's gonna stay the exact same. So we got old Big Red back home, and this is gonna be its temporary spot for a little bit. In the next video, we're actually gonna put this thing up on jack stands, do a little bit more of an in-depth look over at it, and then hopefully clean it up from there and try to figure out a plan for this thing. This truck is pretty beat, but it's not too bad. It's got good bones for the most part. It seems like the frame is pretty good, and a couple body panels still look to be in okay shape. Now, normally I'd say it's time to drop a gear and disappear, but we definitely aren't doing that in old Big Red. But if you'd like to see more content with Big Red, then subscribe and turn on those post notifications because there's going to be plenty more videos coming along with Big Red.